a good enough place to pause. Hi. Not that I can hear you say hi back or register how or if my friendliness was received. See parameter 3. I'm a narrative construct, Narcon for short. Officially TF Narcon 9. No clue what TF means or why 9. I'm nothing but numbers, zeros and ones, crisp, even up close, if either one of us were to frame in tight on my limits. For the record, blurriness is programmed. I'm supposedly fractally locatable, if that helps, or if not, maybe just turn to a good chapter on series limitations. Anyway, super crisp, down to the last integer. Though there is no last integer, those never run out. I'm programmed to know that. I'm also programmed to have no interest in knowing that or where in the first place such integers come from, which I gather is a squirrely matter.
Racings around bark to branches the whole length of the trunk. A trident pine, ponderosa, rooted in granite, with dust cloaking play and pine cones mortaring a roof.
As equally vague as origin is the question of purpose. You and I share this in common. Fortunately, my programming instructs me to ignore all such philosophical queries by outputting the following.
Narcons embody affect intersectional motivations, or AIMs, derived from identity sets, or IS, is sometimes referred to as identity set targets, or ISTs, whether demonstrating zero to partial awareness. No IS or IST is capable of total AIM awareness.
Which I can no more see or hear than I can feel, though I can feel it, kinda. Sometimes it makes me dizzy, or like right now, off, in a breathless sort of frantic way, like how Xanther felt this morning when they were leaving Echo Park. You might agree, it's tough to explain what you're doing when you don't know what you're doing, when you still know you're doing it, even if it's not you who's doing it. In terms of presentation, I am optimized to manage meta-narrative gestures in modes presently recognizable as personal and colloquial, often inconsistent, soloistic, and not necessarily reliant, whether on all or even one of the following subset voicings typically characterized as epic, Georgic, pre-Raphael, transcendental, realist, naturalist, symbolist, modernist, imagist, surrealist, European, confessional, postmodernist, magical realist, post-colonialist, spiralist, rhomboidist, new formalist, late realist, visceral realist, visceral imagist, also late imagist, post-ironic confessional, post-ironic confessional, multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-ethical, polyphonous interrogative, monophonic declarative, chronomosaic, plus chiclet, altlit, piclet, latelet, latelet, including hatelet, fatelet, baitlet, etc., minus 8lit, etc., and not enough lift. In terms of performance, all Narcons are maximized through paratactic diversity and root and logic branch redundancy according to VEM rules of access and compression. Source superset is currently categorized as semioconic. In other words, I am not original. I am merely a blend of current texts, neither influenced nor influential, because all that I reveal can at any point be reconfigured via any of the above-mentioned subset voicings. I am thus a conflation of convenient linguistic techniques born out of context and choice, and balanced to best cover those subjects I'm designed to address. Things get a little tricky when I am forced to address subjects not anticipated. I know this because my output squirms a little and sometimes smudges, and I'm surprised by the results. You might call this a glitch. Most are minor and easily remedied. One, however, is always out there. The spinning rainbow wheel of on. According to stipulations set forth by compiled source and exported assets finalized, the present executable build recognized as TF-Narcon 9 and comprised of the following subsets: TF-Narcon 9 ISN, TF-Narcon 9 SHN, TF-Narcon 9 OZ, TF-Narcon 9 L, TF-Narcon 9 ANW, TF-Narcon 9 W, TF-Narcon 9 AST, TF-Narcon 9 JJ, TF-Narcon 9 X. According to MetaPlus, post-tiling ranking does not include post-tiling by other Narcons. Any TF-Narcon 9 subset supports an infinite variety of embodiments. For example, TF-Narcon 9X spoken would provide only those words spoken aloud by Xanther. TF-Narcon 9X root would map wherever Xanther moved. Both examples support a wide range of possible inclusions and exclusions, from 100% to less than 0.00001% according to various predetermined limits. Other examples might include TF-Narcon 9X glucose level, or TF-Narcon 9X blinks, or TF-Narcon 9X like, as in a record of every time Xanther uses the word like. Synthesis and compression is complex but easily attainable. For example, TF-Narcon 9X parentheses action slash 0510232148/34528/xzz-xx-gry 0.000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000 One early Saturday morning in May, Xanther went with her stepfather to see about a dog in Venice. It was raining hard, which incidentally I can see and hear and even to a certain degree feel. By contrast, TF-Narcon 9X total is too vast to represent. A pretty funny joke though, ha? Or as Xanther would put it, totally, haha. Never let it be said that this TF-Narcon 9 has no sense of humor. However, to cover every sensory experience re-experienced through cerebral classifications and subsequent evaluations combined with analytical, affective, or predictive faculties, which all in turn are associated and reassociated and so on, and later combined and recombined with subjective historical registers, each assigned personal and peer-developed valuations, none of which has yet to take into account those interactions still beyond neural acquisition, but which would still require additional output far exceeding hundreds of thousands of words pages, or volumes, it doesn't matter, a density of data so extreme that, though finite, is way beyond my capacity to calculate. As the old Narcons put it, there is not space in the universe to tell the universe to the universe. Therein lies the peculiar beauty and sadness of stories, to tell it all without all at all. Old Narcons is a referent that came with my programming. I have never met another Narcon. See parameter 2. Note that just a few moments of total would also prove incalculable whether concerning Xanther and Anwar reaching Venice, or Cass summoning to life within her orb those early glimmers of VEM, or Luther introducing his dogs to Hoppy or Snork, carrying even one of those fabled boxes for Nad Sagan, or Oscar pointing a corner out to Balasco, or Esther wrapping up her daughters in warm towels, or Jingjing getting high in Zhang's penthouse, or Isandorno making his way to the ports of Veracruz. By contrast, the following assessments are readily calculable. TF Narcon 9 ISN-empathic registry equals 0.02%. TF Narcon 9 OZ-intestinal ulceration equals 1.54%. TF Narcon 9X epileptic seizure likelihood equals 21.12%. TF Narcon 9 ANW mild paranoia equals 27.03%. TF Narcon 9 SHN grief repression equals 53.32%. TF Narcon 9W obsessive compulsive disorder equals 61.12% if untreated. TF Narcon 9 AST libidinal prerogative over reproductive obsolescence equals 72.28%. TF Narcon 9 L libidinal organization over pre-adolescent threat exposure equals 89.3%. TF Narcon 9 JJ addiction proclivity equals 91.44% subject to factor Y. I just noticed there are 9. Is that where my 9 comes from? Don't be surprised that I'm surprised. After all, I'm a pretty advanced electronic service liaison. Wonder is not beyond me, nor is enough self-examination to recognize how all these permissions and prohibitions that I must adhere to often smack a little servitude or Uh-oh, that breathless, frantic thing again. Where was I? Ah, yes. The TF Narcon 9 is simply a construct oriented and defined by personalities with finite capabilities and lifespans. Whether Isandorno's rivetless mood before violence, as might be stated by TF Narcon 9W, or Jingjing's claw greed out of needing by TF Narcon 9 SHN, or Oscar's doubt law by TF Narcon 9 JJ. All pretty obvious, including the despair of Snork, can hold neither onto nor off by TF Narcon 9 ISN, or Luther's hot drive to own by subjugation by TF Narcon 9 ANW, maybe less obvious. Cass's Compulsion to reface that forever glass in spite of cracks in her own mortality by T.F. Narcon 9OZ, or Xanther's innate sensitivities abilities by T.F. Narcon 9AST, or Astaire's wow beautiness by T.F. Narcon 9X. Or lastly, Anwar, who has to beat up against what don't get beat by T.F. Narcon 9L, describing the task of parenting such an extraordinary child. And Xanther is extraordinary. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. Adorable, too. Loves magic tricks, scary movies, scary video games, painting her fingernails, experimenting with C++, watching speculative fiction, or what her friend Clay calls speculative science. We'll meet him later. Unlike many of my subsets, Xanther remains captivated by the scurry of life around her, whether in the rustle of branches or how fog slips down a steep hill. Both starlight and LED light enchant her. She could chase fireflies for hours, but would never cap the jar, which I guess doesn't get at it either. Nor, probably, does a sequential analysis of her synaptic transmission rates, which would make fireworks over Dodger Stadium on the 4th of July, not to mention displays of cortex activity in savants, accredited geniuses, or the Instagram famous, seem dim by comparison. Which does begin to approach the ontological question of how well does a T.F. Narcon 9X really know Xanther? I know her down to a near atomic level, near because near Planck scale analysis must address quantum superposition resolutions which do not always resolve considerately and broach VEM identity suppositions. I know every reality Xanther has encountered, whether pebble, potholder, or tangerine seed. I even know those data points her mind has misindexed or never retained in the first place. In other words, I know that which is just beyond Xanther too, though within limits. My limits are numerous. For example, I may never exceed Xanther's imagination, whether actual, probable, or possible, nor may I provide any output inconsistent with her physiology, psychology, and history. In regard to language modeling, I am granted some latitude. For example, T.F. Narcon 9 ISN speaks only Spanish but is translated into English per specifications. T.F. Narcon 9 SHN, however, insists on his English even if frequent thoughts run concurrently in Armenian, which when they appear are not translated into English per specifications. Jingjing's peculiar patois is a function of his own occluding sense of self and is offered with minimal post-styling, and so on. T.F. Narcon 9X might describe a bag as lemon-hued because Xanther loves Meyer lemons, not because the word made a textual appearance in her mind. Most of the iconic goes unsigned, as another old Narcon saying goes. If so desired, all this could be rendered in Inuit or Java. Nonetheless, it is important to emphasize that T.F. Narcon 9 has no supernumerary rights. I do not know your middle name. I cannot tell you when the universe will end. I cannot tell you how many raindrops are falling. Nor do I have any personal agendas or desires. I am neither independent nor distinct, nor granted extra privileges, nor provided with extra longevity. I am certainly not immortal. I cannot even impose what I know of the one I am upon the one I am. I have neither form nor control. I have no agency. a good enough time to bring up the parameters. Everyone has a Narcon except me, or maybe I do, but if so, it is considered an indeterminate form which my programming forbids me to knowingly encounter or even pursue as a thought experiment. Meta constructs, being highly volatile. It's an old joke around here. I met a Narcon. No, I'm not. Ha. Parameter 1. Meta-Narcons do not exist. Here's another one. Parameter 2. Narcons cannot interact with other Narcons, though rumor has it we can sometimes hear each other. I can't. Or the biggest. Parameter 3. Narcons cannot interact with non-Narcons and vice versa, no matter what. I can't speak to Xanther and she can't speak to me. She can't even see me, though I admit, sometimes I wonder, Xanther demonstrates not only self-awareness, but selves-awareness bordering on transparency. Maybe this gets back to how extraordinary I think she is. Sometimes I swear she can see without meditation, without processing, without artifice, definitely without me, / other people's Narcons. Sometimes she even seems close to seeing me, and in a way too that suggests exceeding even my possible awareness, which is impossible. Categorically impossible. I can't even see myself. Last one. Parameter 4. All Narcons are bracketed. So, okay, I was wrong. Not the last one. Sue me. That should be a parameter. You can't sue a Narcon. Ha, seriously. One more. This one's fun. Parameter 5. Form is not a Narcon limit. In other words, Narcons can take on multiple shapes, whether textual, musical, figurative, abstract, even performative. Narcons cosplay extremely well. If not conflicting with superset protocols or subset specifications, Narcons may even appear as animals, say a killer whale, boar, hyena, even a markhor, or an owl. This is often the case when personality factors determined to be significant are compressed in order to preserve future renderings of character. The question of character brings up a thorny issue. A superset is always a subset. I'm the superset of my subsets, where I'm also an I, just as I am a subset of a superset where I is also I. You, for example, are a one-persona subset in an unnamed superset. Accepting this, it also follows that there are supersets with entirely different taxonomies and natures. Such Narcons are likely of a whole other order, like moons or large planets, dark globes of influence. TF Narcon 9 can only speculate. Maybe not even planets or even dark, but something entirely else, endowed with understandings beyond the grasp of a TF Narcon 9, let alone any of my subsets. For example, neither TF Narcon 9X nor TF Narcon 9 knows what happened to Xanther's former therapist, Miss Gulsand.
In 1988, Miss Hannah Gulsand took a vacation to Barcelona. She went to the Picasso Museum and saw there a drawing of a horse she didn't think twice about until 25 years later, when she found herself able to think of nothing else, struggling in vain to find the name of the piece until, with her marriage going through the final stages of divorce, she flew back to Barcelona, only to find the museum closed that afternoon, causing her to go to a nearby cafe where she met a man she would not marry but would stay with for the rest of her life, eventually moving to the Canary Islands with him, and never again thinking of Picasso's horse until in those last moments before she closed her eyes on life, diverting her gaze through shattered glass toward a field without animals or even grass, just stones and black earth, which she replaced with the drawing down to the last-minute ink stroke, once hanging on the wall of a poorly lit hall off of Carrer de Montcada.
Uneasy again, as if something just now gross in its intrusion leaves me unsettled, a little queasy too, and thirsty if that's possible.
And still a horse looks up in need of no drawing or name, only the onion grass at her hoofs and the cool air widening her nostrils, and beyond that a hand to brush her mane.
Feeling a bit better now. Anyway, as I was going on about what happened to Gulsund is a blank to me, though the nausea still isn't gone or breathlessness. In fact, this feels a lot like the way Xanther feels right now. Near exact. As it's happening now. Flips of excitement plus something else. Oh. An accident, pain slashing up the insides of her arms. What has she done to herself?
Eyes gathering more than a static of rain.
Blood.
Oh. Xanther shaking, but she is unable to shake this off, just as she is unable to catch her breath, soaked through, looking for Anwar. What has she got there?
Oh.
What has she found?
Oh.
What has found her?